Kweku arrived home late in the evening to find Kamala and Tumi sitting quietly by the fire. The tension in the air was palpable. Kamala's eyes brimmed with unshed tears, and Tumi clung to her mother with a grip that spoke of fear and desperation. "What happened?" Kweku asked, sensing the weight of the moment. Kamala hesitated but decided it was time to tell him everything. She recounted her growing suspicions, her observations, and finally, the confrontation with Adenu. Kweku listened in stunned silence. When Kamala finished, his face was a mixture of shock and anger. "How could this happen under my roof?" he muttered. His guilt was evident, but Kamala reassured him, saying, "We acted as soon as we realized. Now, we must focus on Tumi." The next day, Kweku and Kamala decided to consult the village elders. Adenu's betrayal was a grave offense, and they needed guidance on how to handle it within the community's traditions. The elders listened carefully, their faces grim as the story unfolded. One of them, a wise and respected woman named Nana Esai, spoke first. "Justice must be served," she said firmly. "But we must also prioritize the healing of this child and your family." The elders proposed a council meeting to address Adenu's actions and prevent further harm to the community. Kweku and Kamala agreed, though they knew it would be a painful process. The village gathered under the ancient baobab tree for the council meeting. Adenu was summoned and made to face the elders and the community. Kamala and Kweku stood firm, recounting the events that had led to this moment. Adenu denied the accusations, claiming it was all a misunderstanding. However, the elders were unrelenting. "The safety of our children is not negotiable," Nana Esai declared. The council decided that Adenu would be banished from the village, and a cleansing ritual would be performed to restore peace to Kweku's household. The ritual took place at dawn, led by Nana Esai and other spiritual leaders. They lit sacred herbs and chanted prayers to cleanse the home of the darkness Adenu had brought. Kamala and Kweku participated, holding Tumi between them as they prayed for protection and healing. The ritual brought a sense of closure, but Kamala knew the scars ran deep. The journey to recovery had only just begun. Despite Adenu's absence, Tumi remained withdrawn. She rarely spoke and often seemed lost in her thoughts. Kamala tried everything to bring back her daughter's joy, stories, songs, even trips to the market, but Tumi's laughter was rare and fleeting. Kweku suggested they seek help from the village healer again, but Kamala felt they needed more. "We must let her feel safe again," she said. "Only then will she open up." Kamala and Kweku began to rebuild Tumi's sense of security through small, consistent acts of love. They spent more time together as a family, taking walks by the river and sharing meals under the stars. Kweku made a special effort to bond with Tumi, telling her stories of his travels and teaching her to carve small wooden animals. Slowly, Tumi began to respond, her trust in her parents rekindling bit by bit. To further establish a sense of normalcy, Kamala resumed her work at the weaving loom. She often invited Tumi to sit beside her, teaching her the art of creating patterns with colorful threads. Tumi's small hands worked clumsily at first, but Kamala encouraged her patiently. "Every thread has its place," she said. "Just like every part of our lives." Tumi smiled faintly at her mother's words, the first sign of hope Kamala had seen in weeks. Kamala decided to take Tumi to Nana Esai for guidance and healing. The wise elder welcomed them warmly, offering Tumi a basket of ripe mangoes and a place by the hearth. As they sat together, Nana Esai began to tell a story, a tale of a brave little bird who overcame its fear to sing again. Tumi listened intently, her eyes wide with wonder. For the first time, she asked a question: did the bird find its family? Yes, my child, Nana Esai replied. And it found its voice too. That evening, Tumi surprised Kamala and Kweku by speaking up during dinner. I want to go to the river tomorrow, she said softly. Kamala's eyes filled with tears as she nodded. Of course, my love. It was a small step, but to Kamala and Kweku, it felt like a triumph. Tumi's voice was returning, and with it, the promise of healing. The family spent the day by the river, splashing in the cool water and sharing a picnic under the shade of a large tree. Tumi laughed as Kweku pretended to fish with his hands, his exaggerated antics sending ripples of joy through the air. As the sun set, Tumi took Kamala's hand and whispered, "Thank you, Mama, for keeping me safe." Kamala hugged her tightly, tears streaming down her face. Always, my love. Always. The journey wasn't over, but they were moving forward, together, as a family. With Tumi showing signs of recovery, Kamala and Kweku decided to involve her in more community activities to rebuild her confidence. They encouraged her to join the children in the village for storytelling evenings under the baobab tree. At first, Tumi was hesitant, clinging to Kamala's hand as they approached the gathering. But when a boy her age offered her a spot beside him, she accepted shyly. The storyteller began a tale about the cunning hare and the slow but wise tortoise. Tumi listened intently, her eyes lighting up at the twists and turns of the story. The boy who had welcomed Tumi introduced himself as Kojo, a spirited child with a knack for making people laugh. He became Tumi's first friend since the ordeal. Kojo invited Tumi to play in the open fields, where they chased butterflies and searched for hidden treasures among the bushes. For the first time in months, Tumi giggled freely, her laughter echoing through the air like a melody Kamala thought she might never hear again. Kamala watched from a distance, her heart swelling with gratitude. Kamala and Kweku also focused on deepening their own connection. The ordeal had tested their marriage, but they were determined to come out stronger. In the evenings, they sat together by the fire, sharing their thoughts and fears. Kweku often told Kamala how much he admired her strength. "You've been the anchor of this family," he said one night, holding her hand. "And you've been the wind that keeps us moving forward," Kamala replied. Their love became a source of stability for Tumi, who began to trust in the safety of her home once more. It was time for Tumi to return to school, and Kamala was nervous about how she would adjust. She spoke to Tumi's teacher, explaining the situation and asking for her support. The teacher, a kind woman named Abina, promised to keep an eye on Tumi and ensure she felt safe. On her first day back, Tumi clutched her mother's hand tightly as they approached the school gate. But when she saw Kojo waving at her from the playground, she smiled and let go. Kamala watched her daughter walk into the schoolyard with cautious confidence. Despite the progress, Kamala couldn't shake the lingering fear that someone might bring up Adenu's betrayal in the village. She knew how rumors could spread and worried about how it would affect Tumi if she overheard anything. She decided to speak to Nana Esai again for advice. "The past has sharp edges," Nana Esai said, "but it can only cut if you carry it too close. Be vigilant, but do not let fear rule your heart." Kamala took the elder's words to heart and resolved to focus on the present. One afternoon, a fierce storm swept through the village, uprooting trees and flooding the riverbanks. Kamala and Kweku worked together to secure their home, while Tumi huddled inside, clutching her favorite door. When the storm passed, the village emerged to assess the damage. Kamala noticed that the baobab tree, where the children gathered for stories, had been struck by lightning. The sight of the ancient tree lying split and charred filled Kamala with a sense of loss, but it also reminded her of life's resilience. The community came together to repair the storm's damage. Kamala joined the women in weaving new baskets and mending torn roofs, while Kweku helped rebuild the fallen fences around the farms. Tumi insisted on helping, too. She carried small bundles of thatch to the workers and offered water to those who labored under the sun. Her willingness to contribute earned her the admiration of the villagers. "She's a brave little one," someone remarked. Kamala smiled, her pride in Tumi growing each day. As part of Tumi's healing, Nana Esi suggested they take her to the river for a purification ritual. The ritual was meant to symbolize a fresh start, washing away the pain of the past. Tumi stood in the cool water, holding her parents' hands as Nana Esi prayed over her. The elder sprinkled water on Tumi's head, speaking words of protection and strength. When the ritual was over, Tumi looked up at Kamala and said, "I feel new." Kamala hugged her daughter tightly, whispering, "That's Tumi," began to express herself more freely. She asked questions, shared her thoughts, and even started telling her own stories during family evenings by the fire. One night, she surprised everyone by recounting a story Nana Esi had told her. Her voice was clear and confident, and her words painted vivid pictures that captivated her audience. Kamala's heart swelled with pride. Tumi had not only found her voice but was also learning to use it to inspire others. The family decided to plant a new tree where the baobab once stood. It was a young sapling, full of potential, much like Tumi herself. As they worked together to dig the hole and place the tree, Kamala said, "This tree will grow strong, just like our family." Tumi placed the final handful of soil over the roots and said, "And it will tell stories, just like the old one did." Kamala and Kweku exchanged a smile, their hearts full of hope for the future. The sapling stood as a symbol of resilience, growth, and the power of love to heal even the deepest wounds.